Welcome to Conversations with Sarah. I'm Sarah Reddan, creator of the SRTT Self-Care Club. Thank you for listening, and remember to like and subscribe to be notified of new episodes, and come find us at SRTT Self-Care on most social media platforms. Today, I'm joined by Nira Roche, who's going to talk to me about biohacking. Welcome, Nira. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Sarah. It's lovely to be here.
Thank you. I know it's late there for you. It's early here for me. Yes. So we were going to talk about biohacking. Will you tell me a little bit about yourself before we start, please?
Yeah, my name is Nira, and I'm a biohacking mentor. And I kind of was formed into it, I suppose, as a way of putting it. Up until the age of 12, I was hyper flexible, hyper fast. I was a very naughty, normal child.
Yeah.
And then at 12, I started to get a joint condition that just absolutely burnt my joints. And it wasn't just that I had difficulty moving or doing things, it was also the exhaustion that went with it. And it's incredible that I actually made it through high school and uni. And even when I had a job, I would drive to work and come home, turn off the ignition in the car and sleep in the car for a couple of hours before I had the energy to go back inside. And so I've been looking for ways to get more energy and have more energy during the day and have put things, make my condition better.
Yeah.
And so it's been a journey. It's been quite a long journey.
Yeah. So you call your business Recovering Leopard. Why is that?
Yeah. That's because I'm in the process of recovering that suppleness, that speed that I had when I was 12 years of age, or before the age of 12. And it's probably the cheetah's the fastest, but I can't say I was the fastest, but I was fast when I was young.
Yeah.
So I'm recovering all that, the flexibility, the strength, and the speed that I had. It's actually a physiotherapist has written a book, Supple Leopard. And he's a fabulous physiotherapist, and the book's fabulous. And I thought, I really like that name, Supple Leopard. I'll call myself Recovering Leopard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just sort of came from learning about your own stuff, and it just fit, I guess.
Yeah. It has.
So what's your you talk about biohacking, and that's what you've used for your recovery. So what does that even mean?
So in the last 150 years, we're exposed to so many stresses. Our cells are exposed to so many stresses that we didn't have, 100 to 150 years ago. And so biohacking is just kind of peeling back those layers and just making simple changes to our lives that remove layers and layers of stress that we might have, that our cells are exposed to. So we have our chronological age, and then we have our biological age. So I'm 62, but my cells at the moment are probably much, much younger. And yet when I was 58, 57, my cells were the age of a very sick 80-year-old.
Okay.
Because I was being rolled in bed. I was thinking I was going to end up in a nursing home because I couldn't even get my hand to my mouth. So it was looking like my husband was even going to have to feed me. And I was in a wheelchair. I was, the only vertical position I could get was being propped against a wall. And that was 5 years ago. And now I couldn't even lift 500 grams, and now I lift quite heavy weights. And I'm moving better, and that's all through biohacking. It's my skin's improved, my memory was going, my hair was turning grey. It's quite remarkable how rapid that decline was over a 9-month period. I just declined super fast. And we went and we spent thousands of dollars in investigation and supplements to try and work out what was going on. And in the end, my lovely doctor, she sent a stool sample off to Germany and got it analysed, and it came back and was read by a specialist. And that was over a Zoom call that he did the reading of the report of the bacterial count of my stool. And it was like he was looking at tarot cards or something, or you've gone and seen a psychic, because he was saying, oh, she'd be aging super fast, her memory will be going. He's reading all this and saying exactly what I was going through. And I'm there like stunned. And he goes, because her whole gut bacteria now, not all of it, but a large portion of it has been taken over by the fat-eating bacteria. I had changed my diet to a keto diet. I made a very big mistake in a keto diet is where you stop all sugar, anything that turns to sugar and sugar items, and you use fat as fuel for our body to burn. And I'd made the very big mistake of not just, instead of having a small amount of fat and lots of vegetables and a small amount of protein, we just went overboard. We were having the most gorgeous meals cooked in duck fat and pork fat. It was just, it was amazing. We just totally went overboard with that, and that was the repercussions. It was those bacteria were putting out toxins into my body, and his advice was, Chad, you need to cut out all fat and only use olive oil. And that is one of the biggest biohacks that I could recommend to any of our listeners, anybody really, that use extra virgin olive oil for all your cooking needs, or most of it, because it's got a product in there that helps with reduce our aging, and it's a fabulous, nutritious wise, it's fabulous, it tastes fabulous, and it's going forward again. So I was again doing really well. I'd been on olive oil a long time, and suddenly I started to develop really sore feet, and this continued for months, and then seemingly overnight it seemed to go. My sore feet went, and I had to really think at that point, well, what am I doing? What did I do that's changed? And it was that I was having some feta cheese in an olive oil blend, and it was that olive oil blend that was just triggering my body. It was just stressing my body, and so we're just really careful to read labels nowadays. And
that's amazing.
It's not just me.
Yeah, but that's like tiny
me,
little
Sarah.
difference. That tiny little difference of what was in your diet.
Tiny difference
impacted you in a noticeable way.
And that's the thing. They're the small biohacks, and it's not just me. I'm sensitive. I'm really, really sensitive, and I think most people that got chronic conditions are sensitive. They're like, we're the canaries in the coal mine. We feel things a lot more than others might. It seems to impact us more, but the reality is that it's aging all of us. Other oils are aging all of us, and we just don't see it, or we don't experience it that dramatically as I did. So that's what biohacking is: small changes, and it doesn't have to be food related. There's so many biohacks that are got nothing to do with food, and
Yeah.
that are still small.
Yeah, I mean, I notice since I've been using sort of much more meditation and mindfulness practice that so I've talked before, I've got chronic health stuff. It's made a difference to how my body reacts to stress. It's made a difference to just the pain that I feel. It's like, even I'm 45 and I feel I looked a lot older in sort of my early 20s when I was stressed to now where I'm much more sort of calm. And obviously I've changed as I've aged, because we do, but I don't have the deep lines from frowning that I used to have. And I think it really does make a difference when you find these little like tweaks, or like what I call my self-care practices. It really helps you kind of notice, this is good, this is not good for me, and not in a way of attaching a morality to stuff, but actually this nourishes me or this doesn't nourish me. So is that's the sort of things you're talking about when you're talking about biohacking, is those things that are nourishing your body or not nourishing your body?
Yeah, well, just out of curiosity, what sort of meditation do you do?
I mean, I just so this is my I really didn't get on with like meditation as I thought it was, where I needed to sit and hum or like just be blank minded. So I record my own guided meditations that I use for my clients, and I listen to them myself. So it is a combination. When I have a shower, I will use the water of the shower to meditate, to focus on, to be mindful, to really pay attention to how the water feels on my body, what's occurring in my body, letting things go. I use breathing throughout the day as I move from activity to activity. I just breathe. I feel like I need to be using like big words to say this is the, I do transcending meditation or like Buddhist, but sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing. I just do what feels really right. So at the moment, I'm all about music. So on my Alexa, I've got I call it Magical Movement playlist, which is songs out of the charts that just I feel in my soul, and I put them on and I move to them, but in a very meditative, mindful kind of way. And it can be really emotional. I feel it in different parts of my body. I can feel I'm blushing because I'm really sharing like private, like in stuff now. And it's, to me, that's my meditation. That's my meditation practice, where I just really embody this music and move in a way that just I feel in my soul and my mind, because I'm somebody that generally has about 14 browsers going on in my brain, some random song somewhere that I don't know where it's coming from, I'm repeating TikToks, I've got all of this busyness goes on in my brain. But when I'm in those moments, it's just the music and the movement, hence why it's my Magical Movement playlist. And it just nourishes my soul, moves my body, rests my mind, resets my nervous system, and allows me to really kind of check in with me, where my emotional state is, what my body is needing, what my mind is needing, and helps me just lift my mood and move into the rest of my day in a peaceful kind of, I want to use the word zen, sort of space of connectiveness with myself. So that's what my meditation. So
I think you all just took all of us there with you. We all felt it.
But it's just wonderful. Like, yeah. But,
yeah.
Oh, now I'm thrown. I'm not used to being asked a question. Do you meditate? I'm going to float back to you. Do you meditate? Is that something that you do?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I do Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations. Have you heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza?
I have not. Tell me more.
He's a chiropractor, or was, that's what he was doing, and his back got crushed. He got run over by a truck, and he was lying face down in hospital and had several specialists tell him that he has to have a back surgery. And inside him, he absolutely believed that it was possible for the body to heal. He had no doubts about it. And he just refused the operations, and he went back to work in 6 weeks' time.
Wow.
And so he now teaches people how to get their lives back together again. And his books are incredible. I would highly, highly recommend them. And his meditations are great for but your meditation sounds wonderful too.
I mean, to a degree, I'm very led by kind of my intuition and like what I just have these moments of inspirations and I just follow it. So in a meditation one time, I came up with a new way of delivering like my distance healing. So it's just sometimes I feel like because it's just the madness of my own mind. This is the way I do stuff because it just works for me. It works. So I have chronic health conditions to talk about it as well. I was practically bedridden, in pain all of the time. I don't take any pharmaceutical pain meds. I don't take any pain meds at all. And using these practices has made such a difference. And I think there definitely was a time that if you've said to me, do these things and it will help, I'd have been like, that's nonsense. But because I've just followed my own kind of curiosity about these things and tried it out and noticed that it makes a difference, I've accepted it, and now I'm the one going, hey, try these things because it really helps. But I completely understand why someone would listen to this kind of conversation and be like, I'm in agony, my body's not working properly, I can't do the things that I need to do, and you're telling me if I just sit and listen to or move a little bit in this way that's going to help, that it would feel, the initial thought would be, I absolutely reject that because I have to take 17 different types of meds to help me. I guess for me, I'm lucky that I've never really liked taking medicine because I'm sensitive and I feel the side effects, and the meds that I was taking, the side effects were the same as my symptoms. And so it seemed really pointless. Like I felt worse because I was taking medication that just amplified everything. There's got to be another way. This just can't be the rest of my life. I'm not having it. And I feel like that's what went on with you.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And the thing is that all the biohacks probably that I share are all science-based. So it's not just woo-woo.
Yeah.
It's not just woo-woo, oh, this made me feel better. Try it.
Yeah.
They've all got published studies on it. And there's really valid reasons for why these things work. And there's simple tweaks. Now, as you said about movement, and if there was, there's a lady, Dr. Joan, I forget her last name, but you can look her up. She's written a book called Sitting Pills. And she's was a NASA scientist, and she was given the assignment of trying to work out a way of slowing down aging in astronauts. And so she wasn't getting very far at all. But she was visiting a friend in a nursing home at the same time, or a hospital, I think. And she found there was a friend's neighbour in the same ward wasn't able to walk, but she'd just go from sit to stand, just sit up out of bed and stand and hold on to a walker and sit down again. And she'd do this a few times. And over the weeks that she was visiting her friend, the neighbour improved rapidly. And so she decided, well, let me try what going from sit to stand does for aging. And she found that not only do you get terrific looking glutes, but you also, it reduces your aging significantly. So and you see kids, when they're a little bit exhausted or tired, they'll go down onto the ground and then they'll come straight back up again. And we've stopped doing that. So I say to anybody, just use any excuse. It's not an exercise. You don't do it 36 times. She recommends 36 times throughout the day. It's not 36 times, I've done my 36 times. It's throughout the day, every 20 minutes, half an hour. Just go down as low as you can. If you can't, be like me, stand against a wall, go down as far as you can, and then come back up again. And if you can go all the way down, go all the way down and come back up again, use any excuse. We can find lots of things that we need to pick up off the ground. And that makes a huge difference. It's the small movements, and our whole book is about the small movements rather than getting walnuts that are already shelled. Get them, so you have to crack them. And it's like, it's incredible. You know, so movement is a big part of it.
Yeah, it really does make a difference. And I when you're exhausted, when your body doesn't want to cooperate with you, it can feel very difficult to do. I think like it's that block comes in, doesn't it? Because I mean, for me, there's moving was painful, and sometimes it is painful. It's not that I'm completely pain-free all of the time. Sometimes I do a bit too much, and my body does make me aware that I've asked a little too much of it, and it needs to have some rest and recuperation. And if we get blocked in that, if I move, there's pain, because the way of our brain works as well, I think we think if we move, there's pain. So when we move, there is pain. We need to kind of relearn and reprogram our thinking around the stuff as well. So it's finding movement, like you say, that you can fit easily into your day, that is starting where you're at. So if 36 dropping down to the floor feels a lot, is just move as much as you can, when you can, how you can. I think,
or just stand. If you can't move, just stand. And you know, and rest is so important. Rest is almost as crucial as the movement, and really listening to your body. You know, you may not be up to the same things, but there are so many ways of I mean, like when you're bedridden, when you're totally exhausted, it is really, really hard. But you can start with just little tweaks that peel that layer off the burden that your cells are experiencing. It's just your body signaling to you, I'm overloaded. I need to shed some of this overloadedness. I need to get rid of it so that I can operate better. We're just amazing beings when we're in tune. It's exactly like what you described before. You know, you just feel this flow and this energy and this vitality and this space within your being. And it is gradual. It's not fast process, depending on where you start. I mean, 5 years ago to now, you wouldn't recognize me. There's been such a big difference. I've actually grown about 4 inches in the last.
Wow.
I can't believe it. Like my dresses that were made, my daughter makes my dresses, and they've gone up my leg about 4 inches, and it's like, gosh, is this possible that my dresses are shrinking?
Stereotypically, traditionally, we're told as we age, we shrink, we get shorter, we lose height, don't we? Because of we shrink. So it sounds like you are reversing out of aging.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Sarah, that for me, I was a bit like you. You know, I really needed to find another way, and that worked for me. And I had this incredible faith. I had an incredible faith that there's something greater than me, and an incredible faith that our bodies can heal, and that and really to have that picture of, to be able to, if you look into your past and you remember a time when you were younger and you were the most vibrant, the body was the easiest, and how you were feeling, you know, the juicy, delicious feeling of a time when you were at your optimal. And then if you go into the future and you can see yourself in that same feelings, that has got to become your true north. You've got to have the faith that is a possibility. That is how you can feel, and that's what you're heading for. Because there are so many stresses on us, there's so many assaults, that once you really experience that vitality and you get glimpses of it, you there's just no doubts then. There is just that, okay, this is a possibility. And that's what I do on Facebook and Instagram. I just share, little tweaks and encouragements and to keep you going. And so just keep going. You can just head to your true north, just head to that juicy, delicious feeling. It can be done because I know, because I've done it. That's even though my joints are still very limited, I still need a carer. I don't need the same kind of care that I needed. And they're healing. They're just taking a bit longer. It's going to take time.
Yeah. But it does make a difference, I think, like what you say, like sharing those inspirations, those kind of moments that help people go, oh, okay, there is possibility for me. It definitely does make a difference. I think our brain works in, we're learning a lot more. Science, I think, is catching up with some of the woo stuff that we think, and we're realizing that actually it's not out there. It's not like this magical kind of unattainable thing. There is scientific grounding in it. That's right, my brain was like, oh, you watched TikTok about this, but that's not relevant. And it's when we start to open up our mind to the possibility of a different experience, our brain doesn't really know the difference between what we've actually done or what we're thinking about doing. So when you open up that possibility, you make it real. You can step into it. You can, like you say, walk into that truth of yourself. And for me, like, I always bring everything back to, if you're being curious and being kind to yourself, like, they're the two things. That if you're being curious about what's going on and you're being kind to yourself, you've given yourself that kind of magic foundation of what you need to achieve absolutely anything. Because if you're curious and you're open-minded, it allows for every single possibility. If you're being kind to yourself, you're always going to act in your greater good. You're always going to make a choice that is the best, most nourishing choice for yourself. So when you then got inspirations like you're sharing, you're being curious about the stuff, you're being kind to yourself, and it's like, hey, actually, I can step into this reality. We need so much more of that, because I think social media, society, we've got so many, like, say, stressors, negativities, ideas of like how we should be living life, that we move so far away from our own truth and so far away from what is in our best interest. We need people like yourself going, hey, remember the things you need. These might help you. These might inspire you.
Yeah, and it's also finding therapists like yourself, that can remove those subconscious blocks or that programmings that say, oh, I'm going to end up like my mum, or I'm going to end up like my great grandfather, or someone like that. That doesn't have to be our reality, and it definitely doesn't have to be our reality if we can tweak our genes. And biohacking is literally about helping ourselves and the genetic expression, how it expresses, how our bodies express themselves. So our family history doesn't have to be our destiny at all. It's just those little choices. And our body knows if you've got any ache, dis-ease, any kind of condition, exhaustion, fogginess, there is a reason. And it's because there is a stress on your cells. And if we can be an investigator and as you said, become really curious about what is this that could be causing this? Is it an emotion? Is it a belief? Is it something that I'm exposing myself? Is it the cream that I'm putting on? Because our skin literally eats what we put on it. It's like feeding ourselves. Is it that? And just on that, there's an app called Think Dirty. If you want to find out what it is that you're exactly putting on yourself, and quite often all those green labels, if you look it up on Think Dirty, you find that they're 8, 9, 10, which is carcinogenic. And it's a real eye-opener. It's a bit of a shock as to what it is that you're exposing yourself to. So, it could be what you're using to clean the house, or what you're putting in your soap powder. it's becoming really curious about, well, actually, do I need, I mean, the technology is just so wonderful. I love technology. We've got these amazing microfibers nowadays that clean better, like our windows. I don't know how people clean with anything else, quite honestly. Our house is full of windows, and we use these microfiber cloths with water, and they come out sparkling, and it's just amazing. And we don't have that. And over time, the air purity in that house gets better, cleaner and cleaner, because there's not all the chemical residue that's there in the house.
And I think that's things you don't, you don't necessarily think about it, do you? Especially if you're well. You don't think about necessarily the chemicals that you're using to clean the house, or the things that you're doing, or the food that you're eating. If you feel fine, and then when you get not so well, I mean, I'm thinking about myself. You kind of just I looked at the immediate, what was going on right now. That means I'm not very well, but then I realized it's not the right now, it's the 5, 10, 15 years beforehand that has led to the now that I need to kind of be unpicking and changing and moving. For me, that's what it was about, moving forward with and shifting that stuff. So how do you work with people around like the biohacking? Where do you suggest people start?
Well, probably the first thing that I suggest everybody is to drink lots of clean water with a pinch of Himalayan salt in it. And that's because we're 70-80% water. That's our body, is 70-80% water. And quite honestly, would you get into a stagnant pool? Would you, how does it smell? What would it feel like? What's in a stagnant pool? And yet, do we really want ourselves to be bathed in a stagnant pool? Because basically, if we don't drink enough water, that's exactly how it is. And we've got the best indicator of whether we're drinking enough water or not, and that's the colour of our pee. We've got almost a very instant reading of whether, if it's really dark, we know we're just not drinking enough water. The lighter it is, the better it is. And that pinch of Himalayan salt replenishes all those minerals that we may lose. It charges. That's where you get into the woo-woo. I believe it charges the water. It gives me time to bless that water and really connect with life. And it's just a little reminder through the day. And so it's not, biohacks don't have to be, you've got to change your whole life and rip out everything. Over time, you won't feel like you've done much at all, and yet you'll be looking younger, you'll be more vital, you'll have more energy, and that slowly that juiciness and that deliciousness comes back, and our cells come in tune. And our cells, they can literally, when our genes are all humming, they are literally, the frequencies are like a piano scale, they slowly increase. It's just beautiful how we're built, and we just don't really worship our own temple and see what a magnificent tool it is, what a magnificent vehicle it is. An instrument, not a tool, an instrument. It's just a beautiful, beautiful instrument.
So how can people work with you?
They just connect with me on either Instagram or Facebook, and send me a message to let me know. If you want to become a friend, just send me a message, because I don't accept very many friends unless I know that they've actually come through one of these interviews. And but just because it's just a gradual process. It's not like doing a course. I don't run any courses that are massive and you go to it and there's so much information, you say, oh gosh, I can't do half of it. It's just a gradual, have fun along the way process.
Sounds brilliant. So I think we might be at the end of time, because again, I've lost track of where we are, but my little internal body clock is saying we're about there. So if that feels okay for you, is this an okay place to bring it to a close?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with people before we finish?
I think that I'd just like to share a story of when I was walking past. I used to regularly walk past a outside barbecue, and there was this log that had been cut, and that was just sitting there. So the top of the tree was off, imagine it, and the bottom of it, the roots were gone, and there was just this log that was sitting near the barbecue on a concrete slab. And it was sitting there for about 18 months. And one day I was walking past it, and there was this most beautiful growth, a branch growing past it, growing out of it. And for me, that was like, oh my goodness, there is so much life. Don't ever, don't ever think it's not possible for there to be new growth inside you, and for you to be flourishing again.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being my guest today. And thank you to those that have listened. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. To find out more about me and my guest, you'll find information in the show notes, but you can also find us on Facebook at SRTT Self-Care. I'd love to connect with you. I'll be back next Wednesday with a new guest. So until then, stay curious and be kind to yourself.